It is Thursday night, December 29th, 2022, the last 2022 episode of the Boiler Breakdown coming at you. I'm Terry Lee, along with one of my co-hosts, Evan Webb. We are back after a little 2-week break. It's been a while. Feels longer than 2 weeks.
It does feel longer than 2 weeks, but it's good to be back.
Good to be back. You know how December is every year. Holidays, things get crazy busy. It feels good to be back and excited to talk about what was a pretty easy Boiler basketball win tonight over Florida A&M.
It was probably one of the more comfortable games we've had as of late with this team. I feel like we've had a couple of games where we could have put teams away. Thinking of Davidson or even one before that, or like Nebraska could have been a game that we could have put them away. Had we had some shots fall. Still didn't really have the shots fall tonight as much as I'd like to see, but it was nice to see us cruise to a 30. Still didn't cover. We didn't cover. I think the spread was like 36.5. We covered like 33.
It's a big spread. That's, I like the gamble on sports, but I don't gamble on college basketball as much as college football or NFL because I feel like it's all decided by free throws more times than not, and it's just too nerve-wracking. But good win for the Boilers tonight. They won by a final of 82-49. Brandon Newman was kind of the storyline tonight. 18 points, 5 blocks, 4 rebounds.
Yeah, it was good to see Newman kind of get his stroke back a little bit. He had some nice jump shots. He drove a lot. Like I said, like the 5 blocks was huge. It's nice to see him give that kind of effort on defensive end. It's something that we didn't always see a whole lot last year, really from anybody on the team, to be honest with you. But it's nice to see him kind of buy in defensively and really that's what kept him on the floor too. Not only his shot making ability, but his ability to defend the ball and block the ball when needed.
Yeah, absolutely. He was one of many guys that played pretty solid tonight. I'm looking at the box score right now. Caleb First, who started.
Yep.
I was interested to see what starting 5 was going to be with Zach Edey being back in the lineup, being healthy. I didn't know if Mason Gillis would return to his starting spot at the 4 or if First would stay there, which he was there in Gillis's 3-game absence when he was out with a back injury. But First remained a starter. He had 10 points in 20 minutes of action, 6 rebounds, hustled his butt off. Got a lot of offensive rebounds, and like you tweeted from our account, death taxes Caleb First getting offensive boards and making it into points.
He was perfect, 4 for 4 from the floor. Had he made one more free throw, he would have been perfect from the floor and free throw line. But
yeah, it's tough to do much better than that. Zach Edey, 14 points, 10 boards, so an off night for him in the double-double in 22 minutes. He's 4 for 5 from the floor, 6 of 7 from the line.
Only one foul. That's been probably one of the biggest things with him is he just has not, knock on wood, gotten in foul trouble much at all this year. I'm sure we'll get into maybe even talking about the last game we played where he was out for that game, but it's, the team has only had to play without him a whole lot except for when he's just taking a break.
Right. No, it's been a pleasant surprise how he's been able to stay out of foul trouble. We know it's coming. Mm-hmm. It's coming eventually in the Big Ten game. Hopefully it's not next Monday against Rutgers.
Yeah.
But that'll be a physical team who plays really good defense. So it'll be interesting to see the Boilers take on that challenge. Fletcher Lawyer, 7 points in 15 minutes. Felt like 5 of those 7 came real quick like they normally do.
Yeah.
3 from 8 from the floor, only 1 for 5 for 3-point range. Getting good looks. They're just not going down for whatever reason. Yeah. I keep wanting them to shoot those and keep wanting them to get those looks because they're going to fall eventually.
Yeah. And they're going to keep being there, especially when you get in Big Ten play, teams are going to, with their physicality and their size, are going to be able to, cause Edey more trouble down there, especially when they double him. So there's going to be open looks. We just gotta knock them down and keep them honest.
Yep. Ethan Morton, 1 point, 19 minutes of action, had 1 rebound, 4 assists, 0 for 3 from the floor, 1 for 2 from the line, 0 for 3 for 3-point range. But he did a good job defensively. He's really turning into Purdue's best defender. Mm-hmm. Braden Smith, 7 points, 22 minutes of action, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 for 4 from the field, 3 for 3 from the line, 0 for 1 from a 3-point range. Newman, like we said, 18 points and 26 minutes of action. So he played the most minutes. Mm-hmm. 4 rebounds, 5 blocks, 7 for 13. I did not realize he shot 13 times. 3 for 6 from 3-point range, but 1 for 4 from the line tonight.
If you're going to nitpick out one thing from his game today, that's probably the one thing.
Glad to see Trey Kaufman put back-to-back solid performances together. He had 11 points in 20 minutes of action, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 4 from 6 from the field, 3 for 5 from the free throws line, which usually he makes them all.
Yeah.
Just little nitpicks here and there. David G gets 7 points, 19 minutes of action, 2 for 6 from the floor, 1 for 4 from behind the arc, 2 for 3 from the charity stripe. Mason Gills, 5 points, 16 minutes, but he also had 5 boards, 2 for 5 from the floor, 1 for 3 from 3-point range. And Brian Waddell, 0 points and 15 minutes of action. He did have 1 rebound, 1 assist, 0 for 2 from the floor, 0 for 2 from 3-point range.
Yep.
Let's see here. Carson Barrett, 0 points. But Chase Martin ended up with 3 points, or 2 points, darn near 5 points on 1 of 2 from shooting. So fun when everybody gets to play, including the Walker.
Absolutely. Really, the only thing that I saw that really didn't like was some of the. Well, nothing I didn't like. It was just, we got a lot of good looks. I know Waddell's, both of his threes didn't look good from the shot, and then Morton had an air ball. As soon as he let it go, I was like, that's not going to be close.
Yeah,
but it's, we're nitpicking. I guess a 33-point win, so I'll take it. Yeah, it's nice. My biggest fear in this game was obviously come back from a holiday break.
Right.
We've seen. The game before our game, Ohio State. And Ohio State ended up winning pretty handily, but the first half they were. It was a close game at halftime, and I was wondering, first game out of the break, they're slow and all that. But I thought we played pretty well, all things considered. I really didn't see us feel like we were a step slower or anything. I'm not sure if you thought that too, or what you saw.
No, I was a little discouraged right before half. I thought we took our foot off the gas a little bit, let them at least climb back in a little and get some hope. But the way we came back in the second half and got up early, that's what good teams do. This Florida A&M team, they're now 2-9, but they've played a lot of big time opponents, including Louisville and Kentucky. So they're used to the big time moment. Yep. So that's what a lot of people overlook when you play these teams. You just look at the record. You don't look at who they play.
I think they're within 10 against Kentucky at half or something. So
they had it within 7 with 6 minutes left in that game, but could not close it or get any closer.
Yeah.
But and Kentucky lost last night. They're off to a bad start for them. 4 losses already. I could go on for a few minutes about that, but I'm not going to. But, 13-0, undefeated in the non-conference for the second straight year, 24 consecutive non-conference victories, if I'm not mistaken, longest streak in the country. I can't even remember who we lost to in 2020 non-conference. 2020 is such a blur, that weird COVID year.
Yeah. I'm trying to even think that we would have lost to.
We lost to Miami. I remember that year. We blew a humongous lead.
Yeah, we were in some preseason tournament. We lost a game. I think we lost one of the first games we played on Thanksgiving Day.
I just do not remember that season at all.
No, it was. Again, going into it was just not a whole lot of expectations. It was kind of just, let's just see where this team's at with a bunch of freshmen, and we're just happy to have basketball back in our lives. The games don't really stand out all that much like they do those last couple of years.
Yeah. Absolutely. But if you would have told me before the season we'd be 13-0, ranked number 1 in the country, undefeated going into 2023, I'd have been like, give me whatever you're on. Whatever you're on, I'm not even going to ask, just give it to me because I want some of it.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Just it's been a fun ride, and I hope it keeps on going.
Yeah, I keep waiting for that, that dip. And even I'm not even sure you can qualify the shooting slump that we've been in these last, if that's even a dip, but we're still winning games.
Still shot 48%. It wasn't, we didn't shoot lights out, but it could be a lot worse.
Yeah, it was 24% from 3 to 9.
Yeah,
we have been shooting, but I think
we
some
did
of us
miss 9 free throws too. I think. 9.
Yeah, I don't like that. But yeah, I'm not even sure if I had a record in mind of what I wanted. I think I wanted to get at least one in the PK80. The first, I want to get Virginia. After that, I really didn't care.
Yep.
Obviously, I wanted to get some road games, but I thought we'd have at least 2 to 3 losses. I think by this point. So the fact that we've handled business, and even handled business when things weren't going our way, like Davidson game that's a game that I hate comparing teams in years, especially last year and this year. So I love last year's team, but it's that's a game. Last year's team not shooting well. Do we win that game? I'm not sure. Our defense wasn't there.
I've said that about our Nebraska game that we won in overtime.
Yeah.
I don't know if last year's team wins that game.
I don't think so.
And I'm like you. I hate comparing teams, and especially to last year's team, because they're very different, but it's just recency biased.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think we could start comparing this team to the 09-10 team and the 93-94 team just because they're only three teams that start off 13-0 in school history. Those
What's the
other
best
teams,
start?
those other two teams got to 14-0 and then lost. And the 09-10 team lost 3 in a row. Dropped one at Wisconsin, dropped the home game to Ohio State, then dropped one at Northwestern.
Okay.
Then they got real hot, and then we know how the season ended.
Yeah.
That team only lost 5 games going into the tournament because they dropped one after Robbie blew his knee out. They dropped one to Michigan State, then they lost to Minnesota in the Big Ten tournament.
Yep.
Then they eventually lost to Duke. So they only lost 6 games overall that whole entire year.
Wild.
That I still think that was the best Purdue team when they were healthy that we've seen in our lifetime. That team was pretty special. But
Yeah.
hopefully this team. I mean, next week's gonna be a gauntlet. 3 games in 7 days. Rutgers at home. Students not back. It'll be a packed house. I mean, it's gonna be a good environment, but still, students not back. Rutgers has been a pain in our side. Then we go to Columbus on Thursday night. Once again, students won't be there. It's not the most raucous environment even when they're there, but that's still a Big Ten road game against a team that's got a lot of talent. And then Sunday, Penn State was smart to schedule a game away from their arena when their students aren't back for break. And that place will be rocking too, and that'll be a dogfight.
Yeah, it'll be cholesterol.
I definitely don't want to lose a game. I don't want to see our undefeated streak snapped this soon. I don't want to see it at all, of course, but this soon. But if you gave me 2-1 right now, I would probably take it.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think I'm trying to think which game I'd be okay. I don't want to lose to Rutgers just because it's at home.
Right.
It's the only time we play them, so we wouldn't get revenge.
If I had to pick one of the 3 to lose, I'd almost rather lose at Penn State.
I think.
Even that sounds weird though, saying that, but it's just because probably in the last few years, Matt and company have done a lot better, but that stupid arena has been a house of horrors for Purdue more times than not over in Columbus. So I don't want to lose there.
Yeah. The Penn State games at the Palestra would be really cool. So I mean, it's Micah. I don't know. It is what it is. I mean, they can shoot if they're. I mean, if they're on a roll like they were against Illinois at Illinois, that they were just absolutely just bombing away, and they just ran away with that game.
It'll be interesting too. Then, not getting too far ahead of ourselves here, but then our next home game after that's a Friday night against Nebraska. Our students still won't be back.
That's right.
They come back to school the following week. We do play up at East Lansing on Martin Luther King Jr. Day. I'm guessing their students will be back. They won't have class, but even if they are on campus, I'm sure they'll show up for that one. So our next home game with students will be the 22nd against Maryland.
Just wild.
Yeah, it just seems like forever.
That's over a month.
I know.
Games with students. That's crazy.
I know. But thankfully, Purdue has a very loyal, solid fan base when it comes to basketball, and they don't have to worry about empty seats, which a lot of other schools, even one down south in Indiana, has to worry about when their students aren't in attendance.
Yeah.
But it's been a fun ride so far. What's
been your favorite moment of this season so far?
It's either beating Gonzaga or beating Duke.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, Duke was sweet because it's the New York Yankees of college basketball and it won a championship. But beating Gonzaga on that Friday night was just like the real eye opener. Like, and I know they've struggled a little bit this year, but they've been the cream of the crop of college basketball for the last decade, and it's just and they're going to be good in March. And one of those two.
I think for me, it's the Gonzaga game just because it was. We beat West Virginia, which is what I've already said, it's what I wanted. Is okay, we'll just see how we do up against a top team. The fact that we just ran away with it, I was like, holy crap! Like this is not what I expected. It's because that Duke game was kind of icing on the cake. Like didn't expect to be there. As you said, it's Duke. Regardless of how good they are, it's still Duke. But that Gonzaga and having they have Drew Timme, who was before the season was a first team All-American, I think for the most part. He's been kind of the face of college basketball for the last couple of years, it seems like. And to beat them and in that environment, I mean, basically it was almost a home game for them being in Portland, and they're not too far. That was pretty sweet. And in fact, it was a late game, so I was up to like 3 a.m, so I couldn't fall asleep.
Adrenaline was pumping. Yeah. So, but it's yep, anxious to get Big Ten play going. It's gonna be fun because Big Ten's been an interesting conference. At start of in November, Big Ten came hot out of the gates, and we're like, okay, Big Ten's going to be a lot tougher than everybody thought. Now that we're almost into January, a lot of teams have cooled off.
Yes. Before the year, it was the talk was it's a Big Ten going to be down because they lost a lot of guards. I mean, think about it. They lost Jaden Ivey, Johnny Davis, Keegan Murray, were probably your three biggest ones, especially were all three lottery picks? I mean, definitely Keegan and Jaden were. I'm not sure where Johnny.
I don't think Johnny Davis was a lottery pick.
All first rounders, I should say.
Right.
It was kind of this year was going to be the year of the big man between, it was kind of Trace Jackson Davis, Howard Dickinson were kind of the top two, and then you'd probably talk about Edey, but now it's kind of flipped where Edey's now running away with the National Player of the Year as of right now. If you were to vote today, and then like I said, we started out hot. Teams were beating up on everybody, and then it's just kind of Illinois gets blasted by Missouri.
I mean, killed. I watched half of that game. I thought Illinois knew could run, and that team. I know they have enough talent to turn around, but that team might be in big trouble. Yeah,
that's a team that when they're clicking, they can beat anybody, but if it's not, then they can lose to anybody and lose badly.
Yeah.
I mean, Iowa loses at home to Eastern Illinois, who after being a 30,
I think they're struggling tonight at Nebraska. Let me check the score here.
They're down 12.5.
Yeah, they're struggling because they're healthy tonight. Chris Murray's
Michigan's
back.
up 1 against Central Michigan at home.
What frauds?
that was a team that I thought for sure like I thought was going to be really good. Obviously you have Dickinson back for his third year. They always have. They're going to get talent just being Michigan.
Maryland's only up 3.5 tonight against Maryland Baltimore. It's a tough. It's
Northwestern won by 5 against Brown. Penn State easily won. Ohio State won easily. Minnesota, they can't play the game tonight. Illinois plays Bethune-Cookman, who Bethune's played. They played Indiana. I think they played Iowa too this year. So they've gone up against some Big Ten talent already. So they can. There's some potential. They're 31 favorites. We'll see. I'll see if they can figure it out with old Brad throwing the team under the bus.
Yeah, Juwan Howard. I don't think he's near as good as coach everybody thought he was. He can recruit, but it's starting to show. And if the NBA, I don't know if the NBA would be interested, but if it comes calling, he might take it the next time it comes calling. So,
I think he would.
Yeah, especially maybe by that time, maybe his son would be through. I don't know. But it's gonna be interesting to follow. It's we're getting into the thick of things now. Conference play. That's when it gets fun, and you have the recognizable names and the coaches, and everybody knows everybody really well.
Yeah, unfortunately,
anybody can beat anybody. Yeah, anybody can beat anybody any night. So you got to bring it every single time you go step on the floor. So looking forward to it though. Looking forward to it. I was gonna ask you. I could typically I'd ask you your non-conference MVP, but it's Zach Edey. How can it not be? Like you said, he's the front runner for National Player of the Year right now. So.
Which is still baffling to me because we've had some really good players. We had Jaden Ivey, we had Caleb Swanigan. I'm not sure Carson really ever mentioned in that realm, but obviously when we had Biggie, it was like there was that push for Purdue definitely made the push for him being national player. Which looking back, I'm not sure why he wasn't talked about more, just because the stats he put up was stupid. But it's like you talk to you listen to any national pundit about college basketball, like, oh, it's Zach Edey, like far and away the best player right now, which is just so crazy about where we were when he committed. Yeah. They're like, okay, this is, gonna redshirt because we got Matt Harms and Travion Williams. And then it's like, oh crap, this kid's got to play now because Matt Harms transferred to, he's a pretty, he'll be really good. Eventually now it's like, holy, this kid is phenomenal.
He keeps getting better and better. He's very fundamentally sound, makes good decisions with the ball. He's becoming a better defender than I ever thought he would be. He's the real deal. He's a good college basketball player. I don't know how that's going to transpire to the next level, but that's something hopefully we don't have to worry about till April. So, Yep. Any other thoughts on hoops before we change course a little bit and talk a little football?
I guess do you have a biggest surprise so far?
It's between Smith and Lawyer.
I think for me it's Smith.
I knew both of them were going to be good. I wasn't sure either of them were going to start coming into this year. Besides what we read, during the summer, and both of them made such a big impact. Especially against Gonzaga and Duke. I mean,
Yeah.
Fletcher was throwing in daggers against Duke. I'm like, wow. Yeah, but it'd probably be Smith for me too, just because he's been more consistent.
Yeah. I have to agree.
But no, everybody's for the most part played pretty well. So.
Any disappointments so far? I mean, it's hard to be disappointed with a 13 number 1 ranked team, but
Not really. I mean, I guess I could say Gillis from a scoring standpoint, but that's not always been his MO anyways. And he missed 3 games due to back injury, so that's not really fair. I'm glad Kaufman-Renz put a couple good games back to back, because for a little while, even though you could tell the talent was there, I was nervous with his maybe not getting as many minutes as other guys, and he wasn't scoring as much as he probably wanted to. But the last 2 games, he's looked really solid. So.
Yeah, I think mine isn't any players just are shooting 3-point shooting. I mean, I know obviously we lost some good guys, but just knowing who we have on the team between, Mason's an efficient shooter, Newman's efficient shooter. We know what Lawyer did at the high school level. It's just frustrating to see, which hopefully means they're going to fall.
I know, because we're going to get open looks with double and sometimes triple teams going to ED.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. So, but Caleb First has been a surprise too for me, I should say.
Yeah, his offensive rebounding has been phenomenal. Just like it seems like there's maybe not every game, but almost like every other game, there's like a stretch. If maybe things aren't going well, he has some just burst of energy where he just gets a couple of buckets. Gets a couple of them being offensive putbacks. He was a highly recruited player for a reason, and we're kind of starting to see that. But he's been, because he really didn't have a chance to really show that last year, which understandably with who he had in front of him. But he's been, outside of his 3-point shooting, he's been great.
Yeah, his bounce is really good. He jumps. Yeah, he's got a quick jump off the floor. So
yeah, it does.
He's really athletic. But no, this team's been I feel like I'm repeating myself. I feel like I'm broken. They've been fun to watch, but they've had really good chemistry. They play hard. They play good defense for the most part. Dive on the floor a lot. And David Jenkins Jr., a guy we haven't even mentioned tonight, he's been a nice addition. So
I think that's probably one of the things I've enjoyed the most is just the hustle plays. I mean, I feel like our teams haven't had that the last couple of years, and I kind of because obviously Gillis had that in him last year, and so I just kind of always associate that with him. But then now that I'm seeing everybody do it, I'm like, oh wow, we really haven't had a team do this in a handful of years. Where probably since the Dakota PJ, I feel like those teams. I feel like we haven't had that type of team where everybody's getting after it, which has been refreshing to see.
Yep, absolutely. Well, hopefully they keep it rolling, starting with the Rutgers Monday night. Thanks to the Big Ten, that game's at 7:00. It's not at noon like it was originally scheduled, so doesn't have to interfere with the bowl game, which we might as well talk about. The Citrus Bowl, the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl. I don't know, Cheez-It sponsors like 500 bowls now.
Yeah.
14.5-point dogs at LSU. LSU
Still
has a lot.
14?
Yeah, LSU's had a lot of guys opt. They had a wide receiver jump pro yesterday or declare for the
Didn't
draft.
he say he was going to come back and then 20 minutes later he was gone?
Changed his mind. That's probably some bad communication between player and marketing or PR or whoever it was. But they have a lot of guys opt out, but their opt outs won't hurt as bad as Purdue's. When Aiden O'Connell, Payne Durham, Charlie Jones, Jalen Graham, Corey Trice all opt out of the bowl game. Then you also had Spencer Holstich transferred to UCLA. You've had multiple defensive linemen put their name in the portal, even though they're all going to play in the bowl game. Yeah, I don't have my hopes up for this. I
don't.
It's weird. It's weird with the whole. We talked about it on their last pod 2 weeks ago when Purdue hired Ryan Walters that some of the Louisville guys were staying on to coach through the bowl game. We didn't know Drew Brees at the time was going to be a helper. That's cool, and we can talk about his other contributions as being assistant coach, limited assistant coach here in a moment. But I just say let it all hang out.
Yeah,
play loose, have fun, have Austin Burton slinging around, try to get Maccabee 1,000 yards season, and see what happens.
Yeah, I mean. I probably should have gone back and listened, but I'm not sure how I felt going into last year's bowl game. Obviously, it was a bit different, just given we had some obviously opt-outs between Bell and Karlaftis, but we still had most guys playing.
Yep. Except we had a few guys like the day of or day before get sick.
That's right.
Because it really, like, remember that rumor the night before the bowl game going around that O'Connell wasn't going to play?
Yeah. And then, they posted a video, Purdue Football posted a video on Twitter or on their social media, like them walking to the stadium. It's O'Connell. It's like, they know.
That was smart.
They're on the boards. They're on the
Yep.
boards. I'm not feeling confident at all. Really glad I decided not to go to. I'm not that really. I'm never ever going to go, but I'm really glad I
Right.
didn't make the trip. Because I've talked to some people that are like not spending money watching these guys when all these people are opting out. It's like, it's the people who I'm talking to are older, so I get it. It's a generational thing, but
it is what it is.
It is what it is. Like, I get why they do it.
Yep.
I think there's definitely some ssolutions to fix that potentially. But
what do you think? I'd be curious. What do you think could be a solution?
I think, and I've heard of the guys at Boiled Sports say it. I agree with them. Part of these I've thought of before, but I think you got to like pay the player something. Like the winning team gets X amount, they can split up between the team or whatever. Like have something to play for. Because right. Now with the college football playoff, like especially, I think I'm almost thinking that with it expanding, it's going to make these bowls mean even less because it's like 4, it's like okay, especially being Purdue fans, is like we're not getting it unless we absolutely go. We have to go undefeated, which has never happened, so we're not going to see it. But like when it goes to 12, it's like, oh man, if we're not a top 12 team, like what's the point, sort of thing. I think that I've seen people say move the bowls up so that it's not a month in between the season ending and the bowl game, which I like still that breaks it gives, especially like these younger guys a chance to practice a lot more. It gives the younger guys a lot more reps, get some guys back from injury that might have been out last couple of games. But I think the biggest thing is just you got to compensate the guys in some way, make it worthwhile. Obviously they get their swag bags and all those gifts, but like, in the day of NIL, like you gotta pony up some way.
And the thing there, my concern there is like a lot of Purdue guys opt out. They're trying to make the NFL.
Right.
The NFL paycheck's going to be a lot more still than what they're getting compensated from the bowls. But I think they got to try something.
Yeah.
I wish the NCAA could move back something where you couldn't opt out till after bowl season or something like that. But with that,
I think too.
Then you run into a semester of school.
Yeah,
and
I think
that's more the transfer portal stuff. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
I'm kind of getting confused in my head.
I think the transfer portal should be moved, but like you said, like for these guys, if they want to get into school, they have to be enrolled.
I don't know how you make
if they want
work.
to practice. So that's tough.
Because the coaching carousel screws it up too, as we saw.
Yeah.
It's just weird. It makes everything weird. But I've been watching some of these bowl games, and a lot of them are darn competitive.
Oh yeah,
so the players playing in it, especially the young guys, still care. And like you mentioned, the practices for the young guys—that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Getting the extra month of reps in. So I don't know what's going to happen when it goes to 12 teams. I think it was Danny Cannell or somebody out there proposing that 8 wins to be bowl eligible, not 6, not 7, 8. That would cut down on the bowls big time.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's feasible though, because
I think you could get away with 7. But I think part of it too is just there's just too many bowls.
There are too many.
It's just like where it's like, I get it. It's all money, but like,
And the thing that stinks is now if you take away a bowl from a certain community, that might kill that. That's going to kill that community's income.
That's true.
So they've dug this hole. Of course, the NCAA has. They've dug this hole themselves.
I say get rid of any bowl that's played in a baseball stadium because those fields are terrible.
Yeah. Even today, the Minnesota, thank you.
Yeah.
Minnesota, Syracuse won the Yankee Stadium. It's warm right now for New York, but that field was in crappy shape.
Yeah. Well, I don't know who was playing. I think it was yesterday or something, but I saw someone tweet like their kids play on better quality fields than what was put on for a college football game that was televised. Yeah, I think you have to shorten. You have to do something like that. I think it's the only way it's going to fix it is it's too diluted right now.
Big Ten's doing well in bowls so far, though.
Yeah, they are.
Wisconsin and Minnesota both got wins.
What were your thoughts on Fickle, or not fishing, but coaching?
I couldn't tell if he was actually coaching
Or if
or
he was just
not,
there.
because there was mixed reports, but he had a headset on the sideline, because I watched a little bit and it looked like he was talking, but he could have been just talking to Jim Leonard, coach, but either way, he was more involved as a new coach than I've ever seen. I just thought it was very interesting. I don't know if it's more of a pro or a con, but
yeah.
I mean, he's kind of all in.
Yeah.
Probably doesn't hurt anything, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know, because obviously, like, when you think about that from a perspective, like, the contrast is, Walters, he's going, but he's been kind of hands off, he's kind of more observing, which I get. I think I see both sides. Like, I mean, I get Walters' approach. It's like, hey, this was, even though it wasn't Brian Brahma head coach, but this was their team, like their players, like
let them finish.
Let them finish. But also, like, I mean, when in Fickell's case, it's like it's his team now. So, like,
yeah,
I mean,
he can do what he wants. But yeah, it's definitely important to Walters to be around, scout the guys, figure out kind of what he has coming back. I remember when Darrell Hazel took our job, he went down to the bowl game, but we let him finish his duties at Kent State. He coached their Birmingham Bowl or whatever the hell they were in.
I feel like you couldn't do that nowadays. Like, you can't do that.
You can't.
Not with the transfer portal.
Nope.
Yeah, you can't do that.
I mean, I already feel like we're already behind a little bit in that, but I think the names will be coming. The names will be coming, and we land a big one over the weekend in Texas. Redshirt sophomore quarterback Hudson Card, who was the number 2 dual threat quarterback coming out of high school in 2020. Saw a lot of action.
Everybody.
Yes, was a starter in 2021, or at least started more games than not, and then got beat by Quinn Ewers for the job this year. But he played well in replace of Quinn Ewers, especially when he went down against Alabama. Texas probably should have won that game. That's the first time I remember seeing Hudson Card play live when I was watching on TV. And I think it sounds like Drew Brees was a big recruiting tool in this recruiting. Yeah. They went to rival high schools even.
Okay.
So yeah, Drew was on the phone with Hudson and his dad at numerous times. He said, pitching Purdue. So it worked. And Graham Harrell, we didn't get to talk about this. Graham Harrell's the offense coordinator coming in. And then Kevin Kane's the defense coordinator coming in. All young guys. Graham Harrell's familiar with the air raid offense. He ran it under Mike Leach as a player. Ran it as the office coordinator at North Texas, a little bit at USC, a version, not really full air raid, and also at West Virginia. So I'm interested to see what kind of air raid version he brings to Purdue. But the staff's filling out nicely. Got a couple more additions to go. But I am excited about the Hudson Card. It made the earlier news that came out that day of Brady Allen entering the portal not sting so much. And it made sense.
It makes sense. And it sucks just because, obviously, with Brady Allen being from Indiana,
right.
We wanted him to. It's the talk of him coming out of college or high school was this kid's legit. I think had he not committed to Purdue, he may have gotten that offer from Notre Dame or something. Down the line, had he not been so committed. But I mean, I get it. I'm interested to see what happens to Alimo. I mean, I'm gonna have somebody as a backup. Obviously, we have the
Ryan Brown.
Brown coming in as a freshman, but he's probably going to redshirt. Just being a freshman. So it'll be interesting. But yeah, the Hudson Card was an absolute. Yeah, I remember sitting up in my hometown. I saw it come across, and I was like, "Wait, what?" I was like, "This is incredible."
I texted you and Andrew earlier that day. I said, maybe this means Hudson's coming. I mean, I was more just trying to be optimistic because, the other names, JT Daniels committed to Rice, which I did not want him. I was fine with that. Yeah. Slovis, where did he go? BYU. He went to BYU, which I was like, I'd rather have him than Daniels, but once again, didn't really want him. And to get Hudson Card, a big name from Texas, I mean, it's the biggest name that Purdue's got since Robert Marv, who was a highly talented recruit coming out of Miami. So he's got 3 years of eligibility left. So rock and roll and see what happens.
Yeah, I saw a video because I never watched any Texas games this year, but I saw a clip someone posted after he committed of him kind of scrambling. I was like, this kid's got some wheels.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does.
I'll take that.
Yeah, that's something we haven't had in a long time. Probably since Justin.
Long to go with passing. Like obviously, we've had some guys who could run, like a Rob Henry, but the throwing wasn't always there.
Right. So yeah, we will We will see. We will see how it goes. But it's exciting news for sure.
I
Sorry,
also
was
love
checking.
the
I had a notification on my Ring doorbell. I was checking out real quick. So.
when Hudson committed, there was the tweet that Walters put out where he was kind of dancing his car. I was like, I love that. I love that. Is that the bat signal? So I'll take it.
Oh, the old people didn't like it.
Oh, yeah, I got some words for them, but keep PG. But yeah, that was like. I mean, I think that's going to really resonate with guys. I mean, I saw a couple current players tweeting, retweeting it and talking about it, and they seem to love it. So I think it's been really cool to see how. Not that I mean, Braum wasn't old by any means, but I think that it's just a little different with Walters and him being able to.
Oh, absolutely.
Being obviously younger than Braum and having played more recently than they had than Jeff had, but him being able to, or Walters being able to really interact and really kind of relate to the players a lot more on a personal level, which, as things are coming out more and more about, the Bromco regime, and it sounds like it was a pretty tight-lipped group.
Yep. Now he's got Cactus Jack back in the saddle for a sixth year.
I could not believe that. I mean, I part of me just thinks, like, is it just like he knows Jack, so it's like just some stability?
Knows the offense, which they say is a really complex offense for a college offense in the playbook.
Yeah. So like it just helps him just kind of get. Like I saw some Louisville guys like loving it. Like, we get, he knows Braum, he can be fine for year one. While they have I think they got a good quarterback recruit. Like he can learn the offense as a freshman or whatever. But I mean, I like Jack. I mean, obviously I was sad to see him
nothing
leave
against
Purdue.
him.
I had nothing against him, but I was like, I mean, he got benched twice for a reason.
Yeah.
So maybe the ACC is better for him than the Big Ten or Pac-12.
I hope he puts up big numbers against Indiana and Notre Dame next year.
Yes.
So,
which he's played against Notre Dame once already. So
twice. He played with Cal this year too. At Notre Dame.
That's right.
Gave him a pretty good game. So he's played at Notre Dame Stadium twice. I think Louisville hosts Notre Dame. I think this year, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know. It'll be interesting for Purdue fans just to keep their eye on, just for the heck of it. But no, it's I mean, we're gonna have a much more football news to talk about the next 2 months because I think February signing day will be more active for Purdue than the December one was.
I mean, obviously the guys like Kendrick Gilbert didn't sign, which was kind of expected. And then the tight end from Vernon, Indiana, or not Vernon High School, I should say, he didn't sign, which it was maybe thought he was going to sign that Friday, but I don't think he ended up signing.
I forgot about that.
I
figured he was just going to, and he did.
Yeah, I think he's putting up. Which I get it.
Yeah, sure.
As I think Brian Ebert said, like it's not really as important right now. It's more of getting portal guys with this new coaching staff. So obviously we still have to fill out the rest of the staff, but I'm not worried. Now come mid-January, if we still only have Hudson Card committed, I'll be a little worried. But I think after the bowl game, things will pick up a lot more once the old staff moves out. And
yep, I do too. It's interesting bowl games just in general now, like we've already talked about. But like, just think Saturday you got the college football playoff.
Yeah.
Two most important. But then you have other bowl games like our bowl game in between the college football playoff and national championship.
Well, I turned on the Minnesota game briefly today before our basketball game, and I was like, I mean, I know I went to the Big Ten championship, as did you, and I was like, it was 3 weeks ago?
Yeah, I know.
I was like, this is the first time football I've watched, obviously. I was like, I feel like I haven't watched football in like 2 months. So it just felt weird watching it. So which is usually how it goes. Like when it comes to bowl game, I'm going to be like, oh, I forgot half of our players.
I know. Well, and now with some leaving, entering the portal and going to the NFL, there's going to be some guys out there. I'm going to have to probably Google on my phone the roster real quick to see who they are.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. But one thing we didn't talk about, Brock Thompson is coming back for Purdue next year.
Yes.
So that'll be nice.
Great. Yeah.
Hopefully he can end his career in a fashion he wants to. One thing I got to get your thoughts on real quick before we wrap the show up is you as a Bears fan. The Bears might be doing all Big Ten fans a favor trying to get Kevin Warren out of the Big Ten.
Oh, God. I will say, I mean, as much as Kevin Warren absolutely fumbled and kicked 40 feet into the stands, the Big Ten, when COVID happened.
Yeah,
And
that was he started off on a bad foot.
Yeah. I feel like he's definitely redeemed himself with, getting the new media deal, which is going to be huge for the conference. Obviously, bringing in the teams like USC and UCLA. So I'm like, okay, as a president CEO, like, I can see it. Won't stop everybody from just absolutely trashing them. Not that they don't get trashed already. Like, it's a horribly run organization.
Except I think they got the brightest future of all 4 major Chicago sports teams, Evan. Now I do.
Yeah, I agree. Partly because the other 3 are just doing a really good job, or I guess the other 4, I should say.
4, sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
5, yeah.
Yeah, you forgot about the White Sox. It's fine. I get it.
I actually forgot about the Blackhawks.
Yeah, I did too. Yeah, I feel like it's more just like more so those teams just fumbling away. Like the Bulls should have it, but they are.
Yeah, Donovan's gonna get fired.
Yeah, they are. Although what's weird, I almost said this to our group chat last night with all of our buddies, but I knew I would have gotten like a no one cares type of response. But the Bulls are games under 500, but they're 5-1 against the top 3 teams in the East.
Play up and down their competition.
Whatever, something. But yeah, I like what I've seen of Justin Fields. Yeah, thanks, Mooney. Appreciate it.
That Mooney with the Bears still suck.
Yeah. I'm liking what I see out of their offense, even though their defense needs a lot of work, which
that's weird, isn't it? For a Bear fan to say.
Which I haven't really paid attention to much. So, like, I know they're in terms of like drafting and all that,
right.
But I'm almost wondering if they should trade down just so they can get a lot for it. And just if they have a guy that they think that they really want that's not a top 3 pick, so probably be in the top 3 or 4 easily with the way things are going. I wouldn't be opposed to that and just getting more capital to get whoever you want.
Quarterback hungry teams will give up a lot.
Oh, yeah.
To move up. So, just had to get your thoughts there. And I will say the good thing about Kevin Warren that I found out today, when he worked with the Minnesota Vikings, he was real involved with their new stadium they got. So if the Bears are indeed looking at a new stadium, that could be a big reason why they're maybe looking to pull the trigger on this move. So
yeah. Actually, I was going to ask you. I sent this to you and Andrew in our group chat, but I want to get it on a more public forum. I'm not going to pull it. I don't want to say I can pull it up, but it had to do with going back with basketball. But I saw someone on the boards say something. Oh, I was right here. Okay, excited that we haven't talked that much since I texted this to you guys. But someone on the boards, I'm not going to say their name because it's a freaking nightmare. So, because obviously there's been a whole lot of talk about, more from the national side of Purdue versus UConn, who should be number 1.
Right. If
you haven't listened to the Goodman Hummel podcast where they talk about that right off the bat, Goodman makes the argument that UConn should be number 1 because their body of work, and Robbie, if he could have, he would have slapped him because he's like, you're wrong. If you can talk about other things, but if it's body of work, then no, that's not the argument to have with this. But there's been a lot of back and forth between UConn and Purdue and all that. And someone posted, UConn is the antithesis of Purdue as a program. 3 national titles since 2004 in years where they didn't even win their own conference. This is why I find people demanding more of Purdue in a single elimination tournament funny. They haven't won a tournament game in 7 years, or haven't won a tournament game in 7 years, but I'm sure people would trade Purdue's program for UConn's because they got hot for a few weeks with an entirely different coaching staff a long time ago.
Oh, Purdue's the better overall program, a more consistent program, but historically speaking, it's UConn. There's no doubt.
Yeah. Would you trade like the last, since 2004? So just in those years, they've had 3 titles. Would you trade the last their since 2004 for ours?
I would. Yeah. Because those, no matter what happens, you have those 3 sets of 3 weeks in March to remember.
Yeah.
And it's just a special ride. UConn, they've been a good program our lifetime. We just don't think about it. We don't think about them enough. Because, they've won, not only the ones you spoke of, but they won in 99.
Yeah.
As well. So that's 4 national titles in our lifetime. And their women's team is dominated.
Yeah.
Not as much recently, but they're still really, really good. But, I thought that's why I said an interesting take, because that really made me think. But it is.
There's a lot of suck in between.
Yeah. March Madness is a crapshoot. It's a lot of luck goes into it. Not having an off night, staying healthy, matchups, just a lot of different things. So.
Yeah.
And like my fiance brought a good point up. It might have been tonight when she was talking to me on the phone when she got off work when the game was going on. I don't know. Maybe it was last night. She said, I feel like a lot of sports is luck. I said, well, to an extent it is.
Yeah.
I mean, you got guys who are crazily, naturally gifted athletes, but also there's luck in every sport involved in every game. So,
yeah. Well, it's like I think the best way, especially with as I've said and we've said ad nauseum, it's like NCAA tournament's the worst way to crown a champion, but it's the most fun way by
100%,
far.
100%.
But like I think the best way is like what MLB does, which is or NBA like best of 7.
Yeah, you're not going to have
even
a
then,
fluke.
like we've seen it in baseball where it's like a team creeps into the playoffs and then just gets absolutely hot and wins it.
The Phillies this year.
Yeah, they won like 85 games or something in the season, and they're beating teams that won 110.
Yep.
But I think that's the best way to do it. But obviously, it's still crazy. I agree with that.
I think March Madness is the best, and then the NFL playoffs is second.
Yes.
Just because there's a lot of excitement with it, because if you have an off night in the playoffs, you're out.
Yep.
So Thad Moody said he'd take the 3 championships that UConn has in a heartbeat, cancels out the IU talk of all their banners from before when we were born.
Yep.
Good point. Yep.
I think we've seen Butler have more Final Fours in our lifetime out of any Indiana team.
They've had 2.
I guess for my lifetime, because I was born in September '92, you were born in February, so you saw Indiana have another one. But for me, it's been Butler. Yeah. It's been Butler for me.
Yeah. So technically, I'm tied, but you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. The IU team wasn't even good, and Butler's second team wasn't even that good. The one that lost to UConn in the worst national championship game ever. 2011. It's so boring. I remember sitting in my dorm room, Kerry Quad. I'm like, this is awful. And the Super Bowl sucked that year too, between the Steelers and the Packers. I'm like, am I gonna get anything good to watch?
Because that was the Final Four that coming off the year that we should have been in. It was like, okay, we got Robbie, Juwan, each one back, and then Robbie gets hurt again. Yeah.
And we overachieved that year big time.
Yeah, we did.
Big time. And we woke up at the wrong time in March. Heading into the Big Ten tournament, then the Big Ten tournament itself, then the NCAA tournament. We kind of got shellacked 3 times. So, but hopefully that's not the case this year. That's not the case this year.
I think this team, they seem to be so level-headed. I mean, I hear stories of, like when they got to number 1, I think Edie sent a text to the entire team of this doesn't really matter. I mean, obviously it's great accomplishment, but let's focus, stay focused. And it sounds like Gillis does a really good job of leadership now that he's an upperclassman. So I think this team's definitely a lot more level-headed, and guys just want to win more than anything. So
Yep, and even talking, I saw somebody on the Golden Black message boards in the weekly chat yesterday was asking if we'd go in the portal and get a point guard to back up Smith, and Brian Newbert said probably, but he said, I can tell you this, Matt Painter's going to be very careful about bringing somebody in that could potentially mess with the chemistry of this team.
Yeah, it seems
for the most part, they're going to be back next year.
Yeah, I think that's what's been awesome to watch. Again, going back to basketball, was with Braden is I feel like he's got such good chemistry with a lot of guys already. He had the pass to first. I think it was to first. Today was at least when I first happened, I was like, I don't even know how he passed the ball, because he drove baseline, and I think he went literally just around the guard. He hadn't thrown it behind his head or something like that to first, and first got a layup out of it. But I was like, I couldn't believe some of the stuff some of the passes he's able to make to these guys with all the chemistry they've got.
Well, and Tom Crean, say what you want about him as head coach. He's a whack job, but he's a pretty good in-studio analyst.
Oh, he's a great
He was
analyst,
saying the other night that Purdue cuts to score, whereas a lot of Big Ten teams cut just to cut and get movement going. And he said Purdue cuts to score, and he was really praising Painter's offensive sets with cutting. So I was trying to look out for that more tonight, and we do.
Yeah.
We cut the score. It's true.
Yeah. Well, if you look at guys like Lawyer, that's what I'm again going as we progress through Big Ten play, when it gets a lot more physical, watching guys like Lawyer, he expends so much energy just trying to get open and cut, like we've already said. I'm sure the freshman wall will hit some of these guys. But yeah, it's crazy how much minutes these guys are logging this early in their career.
It is, but it's going to pay dividends down the road. So.
Oh yeah.
But If you're trying to figure out what you want to eat this upcoming Monday when we have not only the Citrus Bowl, you'll probably eat some Cheez-Its during the game as a snack, but you need a meal during the game, and you need a meal at nighttime during the Big Ten opener against Rutgers. Well, we got you taken care of with Mad Mushroom. If you spend over $20 on your order, you get $5 off any order using promo code BREAK5 online. Or if you go in person, just tell them the Boiler Breakdown sent you. And for everybody listening, before those events I just talked about, you could still take advantage of the pizza of the month. You got 2 days left, which is, well, by the time this podcast comes out, you'll have 2 days left. It's the Simmer Pizza of the month is the Breakfast Bomb. It's Mad Mush's signature sausage gravy, onions, green peppers, diced potatoes, bacon, cheddar, and mozzarella cheeses, and served with a side of hot sauce starting at $14. So get 2 of those. That puts you at $28. You're over the $20 limit. You can get $5 off, or you can get one of those and get a cheese stick. You got to get a cheese stick. If you go to Mad Mushroom, they're in the heart and soul of Boilermaker country. They're home of the original cheese sticks. You got to get a cheese stick no matter what you do. Then you just got to decide which dipping sauce you want. That's a whole nother ball game.
Jeez.
But either way, whatever you do, if it's in person or online, if your order's over $20, make sure to use promo code BREAK5 or tell them the Boiler Breakdown sent you for $5 off any order. That's Mad Mushroom. Feed your head. And Evan, I see you sporting something that you got for Christmas there.
Yes, I did.
Brand new hoodie, compliments of the shop.
Very comfortable. I put it on. I wasn't wearing it during the game. I wanted to put it on for the show, and I might not take it off because it's incredibly
That's all that matters.
Yeah. I really want to wear it to Mackey next week, but it might be a little too warm because it's going to be packed to the gills for that Rutgers game when I'm in attendance. But the shop's been making t-shirts since 2011. They started out in their garage. Now they've worked their way all the way up to not only an online presence, but 2 brick and mortar stores, one in Broad Ripple, which you can still get to. I know they've had a lot of construction in Broad Ripple as of late. You can still get there on the sidewalk. Just be careful. But they've also got a location up in Carmel. If you're coming from the north side of India, if you're coming from northern Indiana.
I've been to that one.
Yep. I haven't been to the new location. I haven't been to that one yet. I went to their old Carmel location. Incredibly comfortable shirts, not only for Purdue, but Indiana, Butler, Ball State, Indiana State, all the Pacers. They've got some Indianapolis football. I'm not sure if they've actually got an actual thing with the Colts, but it's Indianapolis football, but it's blue and it's the Colts. Mm-hmm. All things Indiana. Drinkware. I've got to match the script of my hoodie, I've got the drum glass as well. Good quality stuff, great people. And if you want to do some late Christmas shopping or New Year's Eve shopping, you got some cash from Christmas, you can go to theshopindie.com, use promo code BREAKDOWN for 25% off, which my dad used to get this hoodie for me. So look at that.
Best deal around.
Yep.
Best deal around. So, and maybe you got some birthdays in the family coming up
Absolutely.
soon too. So always makes.
He's got a birthday coming up. Buy for him.
Yeah, there we go. I'll take it. I can send you my size. Any closing thought?
I was going to say, you said when you're talking about Cheez-Its for the football game, what do you think of the Cheez-It hotel room?
That was something.
I wouldn't be able to sleep.
Pretty bright. Pretty bright now.
It's too much.
Pretty bright.
I hope it's only there for like a day because there's no way I'd be able to sleep in that room.
I do like Cheez-Its though.
Cheez-Its are incredible. So we don't buy them in our household because we do. The box will be gone in a day. Look at the scores. With 12 minutes to go in the second half, Nebraska's up 24 on Iowa.
Has Fran's head exploded yet? Can somebody please comment?
Central Michigan's up 5 at Michigan with 10:30 to go, and Maryland's up 6 at the under 12.
Just beautiful. This
is wild. I was just like, just take care of business. That's all I wanted today. Like, until Purdue did.
Yeah.
Obviously didn't cover, but it's hard to cover 36 balls.
Just
win any
win.
day.
Just win. Just keep on winning.
It's I guess looking back, 2022 as a whole.
Yeah.
For Purdue sports, what was your maybe favorite moment?
Oh, that's a good one. Man, that's a good one. Basketball had fun moments, but it was also just so stressful every game.
It was, and just the way it ended sucked. Kind of takes away because I look back at that Illinois game, like at Mac. I wasn't there, but that Illinois game because it was such a big game because it was they were 2 teams fighting and Jaden just took over and we kind of just blew him away that game. I was at a hotel room and just like trying to contain my excitement from not stomping on the ground and pissed everybody underneath me, but.
the double overtime win in Champaign on Martin Luther King Jr. Day was really good because that was just a fight between two good basketball teams.
I was sitting in Mad Mush.
Yeah, that was a good one. The Texas win in the second round, I feel like everybody forgets because of what happened in St. Peter's. Ivy hits the big shot. Everybody forgets about that.
Morton did a really good job on Marcus Carr in that game.
And then making the Big Ten championship, winning the Big Ten West.
I think I forgot that Texas game, but I think looking back, I was like, it's hard to beat. I mean, obviously, it wasn't necessarily beating. I mean, obviously, that's beat Indiana, but like just the fact that it was like we made the Big Ten championship was absolutely wild.
Yep,
absolutely wild.
Fun atmosphere. Game turned out like we wanted to, and then the events followed were pretty crazy within the next week. But it was it was a good year. Good year for Boilermaker sports, and not only just basketball, football, but a lot of other sports too. So hopefully 2023 is even better.
I almost said Music City Bowl, but I forgot that happened in December of 2021.
Yep, you did. Yep. See what Thad Mooney on Facebook said. Fran's head's about to explode. Highly entertaining mannerisms on the Iowa sidelines. Always is. Always is. Keep the clipboards away from him. He will snap.
I saw someone put on Twitter, it was like, does Nebraska turn into a quad one win?
They're better than people give them credit.
Yeah. They got some.
Hoiberg's got to get an additional year. So.
Yeah.
So, well, with that said, I think that wraps up our last episode of 2022. We'll be back next week. I'm not sure what day. We'll figure it out. Hopefully our other co-host, Andrew Eiler, can join us. Because I think he's enjoying talking about Purdue a lot more than Butler these days. But let's boiler up, hammer down, beat the Tigers and the Scarlet Knights.
Boiler up.